Okay, so welcome to the CosmWasm community call. This is number 7, June 2nd, 2020. Yeah, this is so the topic for today, first we'll talk about the CosmWasm 08 release, which came out last week. We were very proud of that one. The Cosmos Hub proposal, which passed, so it's a very, very busy week last week. Cosm JS, which is our new initiative of ours, and our roadmap to 1.0 are the main topics. And then again, open question and answers. If there are other things you want to ask about, you're welcome to ask about other things. So yeah, CosmWasm 08 was tagged last Monday. It's ready to use. I've been tested pretty heavily internally now, and with our contracts and stuff. But I haven't got much feedback from other people using it, so I'm definitely happy to get other feedback, especially if you're using a way and the APIs aren't matching your use case, especially, or you want to do something and you're not sure how to use them or you can't do them. So definitely happy to do that, to either document it or improve the APIs. But I think they're pretty good, but it's nice to get feedback from people with real use cases always. There's a migrating MD in the CosmWasm repo. So if you have 07 contracts you've worked on, it should give you a step-by-step guide of how to migrate them. It should take you probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes following it. There's lots of changes. It's a huge API change, it's breaking everything. But the concepts are the same, right? The concepts are the same. So there's names of functions change and some of the calls and arguments. But so the functions stay the same. So we can basically, just take your code and do a bunch of changes, search your places and stuff, and you'll be able to have a 08 contract without thinking too much, just following the steps. This will try to maintain this from now on. For every increase a version from 07 on now, we should have a migrating MD showing how to migrate your contracts, which may be easier, hopefully easier in the future. Also in WasmD, there's integration MD file now for the first time, which explains how to integrate XWasm into your custom chain. We expect people to run WasmD just for testnets and demos to try it out, but we assume most projects have their own Go SDK app. And the main point of WasmD is not to be an app on itself that everyone runs, like Gaia is not really run by everyone, but a template. So, and really we're exposing XWasm is the main point of it. And it's just a demo app. So we really expect people to take their own Cosmos SDK apps. They're based on the 08, the 038 SDK, and just follow integration MD that shows how to wire it in to make it work. So I'd love also feedback on this document. If anything's missing there, I documented as much as I could, but I have not tried it. Migrating MD, we did run through about 4 or 5 contracts doing the migration guide. Integration is a documentation that has not been run through as far as I know by anyone. So please do try it out and add it into your chain and let me know how that works for you. So yeah, we've also rebooted the DemoNet. So if you try to connect to DemoNet, it's now DemoNet 08, demo08.cosmwasm.com. I don't know if anyone uses it. It's now a fresh start. And we updated all the documentation on the CosmWasm docs. So if you check the tutorial of using escrow, it shows connected to the DemoNet now, not local net. So everything can be uploaded to the DemoNet. And it also shows how to use both the command line client, Wasm CLI, and Cosm JS node REPL to do all the actions. So if you haven't looked at it for a while, it's nice to revisit that. And just shows how to connect to a real test net, a demo net, and how to use also the JavaScript libraries to interact with it. So you can check that out again. I think it's useful. And especially if you're running your own test net, testing out WASM, you could use the same instructions more or less to connect to yours. Yeah. And finally, we have a workshop June 29th, which is in a little less than 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks. We have a workshop for building contracts. So yeah, we'll have a meeting the day after, but that will be in about the same time. I think the same hour actually that this meeting starts in 27 days. So we chose a time that's friendly for Asia and Europe. So hopefully everyone can make that as well. We'll discuss building a 08 contracts. In particular, I'll take a simplified version of an ERC20 contract as a basis to give to you, and then show how to add different functionality to it. Things, like burning stuff and burning tokens, minting tokens, maybe bonding curves, or, something like allowances. So if you have ideas on what features are interesting to you, you can also write me in the future in advance, and I will prepare those. But in any case, and there'll probably be more work that can fit in there, so I will go through the stuff and leave some open homework after the workshop that people continue trying these things and learn about all building tokens and how you can build tokens on it. And I'm open for follow-up workshops as well. There's a lot of stuff I want to put in the workshop. So I'm just going to focus on writing a token contract. Other stuff is how to use it. So how to make an escrow contract or an option contract that can accept any ERC20 quote unquote contract. They can take any CosmWasm token contract and use it as a primitive, build on top of it, composition, which is really important. And also how to build a UI that uses your contracts and allows exposure to that, which are really cool stuff to do, but will never fit in a workshop of 2 hours. So we're just going to focus on building our first contract, and I have a few follow-up workshops I'd love to do. So yeah, please let me know if you're coming to that one. It's on Code with Us, the Tendermint project. And yeah, if you have particular preferences for token features you'd like to see demoed, let me know. I want to make something interesting for you guys. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, try this out, try 08. We'll have teachings on building contracts, try building into your chain, try updating contracts, and connect your demo net. It's there with the faucet for everyone to use and abuse. And yeah, let us know. Your feedback is very, very welcome. We'd love to have this. This will be 038 support, and we'll have one more release on that. Yeah, I'll go into that. But yeah, so everyone building on the 038 should have this. And then we'll have and we'd like to have a lot of testing on this because this is production ready, basically, 038 tagged. And then we'll be doing a lot of 039 code soon, which is not released yet. So, following master branch, the SDK with all the IBC changes, protobuf changes, et cetera, which is a moving target, which means a lot of the new features after this will be unstable until the SDK is stable. We cannot be stable until we're building an SDK that's unstable. So this is a really good chance to, to update your networks and testnets with. And then there'll be quite a bit of time that we'll basically do that. We'll try to limit backwards incompatible changes, backwards breaking changes, and have migration files for anything that is. Yeah, so the Cosmos Hub proposal. Thank you for everyone that voted. It passed last Tuesday or Wednesday, depending where you were, with 99.99% support and like 70% voting, which is really, really nice support. So thank you, everyone that voted on this. That was very nice feeling. I'm writing up a tech architecture document for this, and we're reviewing internally on how to actually build it and the changes to the Rust and Go libraries and how we're going to build it exactly. I will share that probably later this week, if not early next week, for public comments. So anyone that's really interested in how we're doing that, there are some people commenting on the forum. You can see that and review the details, not just the theory, but the details of how we're building it. So we're trying to support both governance control as well as individual control, as well as subcommittees, and have it configurable per chain. So it supports all use cases. And again, a chain will tune it to their use case, but should be configurable for various use cases. Yeah, so we'll be releasing this in 2 parts. 09 will be released hopefully in a month, more or less. And that will still be based in the 038. It will have the contract migrations by owner. So it won't allow governance. It'll allow you to upgrade contracts that you wrote yourself, right? So you can deploy a contract that's upgradable and upgrade it, which is how Ethereum kind of does it with these proxy contracts. So we'll do it much cleaner than Ethereum proxy contracts and allow some upgrade steps. And I think it'll be nicer than Ethereum one. But that's basically what we'll do. We'll just add that feature to 08. It should be very simple changes or none. We'll also have a bunch of changes in gas metering to make that much better, I should say. In 09, we're doing a lot of work. So there's some cases where basically you could spend all gas -1 of the WASM instance and all gas -1 in your STA callbacks before it throws an error. So yeah, it allows you kind of spend double the gas you're allowed to, because it would measure the SDK storage usage and then measure the contract gas usage separately and combine them after the contract finished. And now we've changing it with help from Ruben to a lot of help there. I think actually his work.
Yeah, it was fun working on all this stuff. Lots of interesting points in the code there.
Yeah, lots of. Thank you for doing that. Really diving deep. So yeah, it's he's basically did that, and we're giving
you're
his
welcome.
code. But yeah, so it's tighter one. So basically, if you spend 50% of the gas on SDK callbacks and 51% on WASM, it'll stop right away, which is a nicer improvement. And we can add some better gas control from this. It's really adding a lot more power to us. It's internal details, production, but it's getting towards production ready for sure.
One of the things that will also enable us is to charge gas for things that don't even touch the SDK. Like any operation that requires an import from the environment, from the virtual machine, any sort of the services that we provide to the WASM runtime will also be chargeable and fully trackable. So that's also really cool.
Very nice. So that's things like memory usage, I think, right? And
yeah, I believe
precompiles, for example.
Yeah, we could have precompiles in the virtual machine that don't call into the Cosmos SDK, but are implemented in the virtual machine directly. I think this is what Ruben is saying here.
Oh, nice. So the encryption stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. Cool. So we're gonna expose Rust encryption there.
Yeah.
And gas it. So yeah, there's a lot more we can add there. That's cool. And then 0.10 after that. So that's the basis, and this is going to ongoing basis of a lot of plumbing. So it's breaking a lot of stuff. It should break your contracts. You just recompile your contract, the new code, and it will work. But you'll have to recompile it. So I think we'll break the APIs internally, but not the ones you see. We break like the FFI calls between the contract and the runtime, but not the public ones there. 0.10 will be then upgraded to the 0.39 dev SDK master branch. And that will add full governance control of the lifecycle and configurations. And this is, all the features we proposed for the hub proposal. Governance changed a whole lot between 38 and 39. So we're not going to target anything for governance on 38. So we're just going to bite the bullet there. And this will again be released. 0.10 will probably be released against the master SDK branch and not really be, it'll be tagged to demo and test nets. But yeah, it's funny to have a release that refers to a master branch. But yeah, we'll have that one. And 0.10 release, again, if it's until there's a stable 0.39 release, there's probably nothing you can actually embed into your applications. You can run XWasm or you can WasmD, but importing it means you have to actually import the exact same master version of the SDK, which is just a nightmare. So I would say after 0.9, until 0.39 is tagged, there will be no WasmD versions you can import into your external application. And that's not our choice. It's based on, SDK. So whenever they decide to release 39, we're happy to build on it. Maybe that happens before I finish 0.10. Maybe not. Who knows? I have no influence on their roadmap. Yeah, so besides that coding here, which is coming up, Cosm JS is a new thing. So you've probably tried out CosmWasm JS and you've seen our little demo DApp we built out and the faucet we built out and the command line tools, a bunch of tools we had. It came pretty good because I spent a year and a half before this working with Simon on IOV, which is really heavily based on really beautiful JS runtime tooling. In fact, one of the reasons I left AIB and the Cosmos team in 2018 early was because the lack of focus on front-end tooling, which I felt was unacceptable. I said, I'm just going to leave and build cool front-end tooling, and eventually we'll come back together. So everything took a little longer than it happened, but now basically I'm back to building an SDK, and I have a whole bunch of libraries and experience building front-end tooling, and with Simon, who has amazing experience doing this stuff. So yeah, we brought a lot of that knowledge and whipped up CosmWasm JS relatively quickly. Which is quite useful. I think one of the nicer libraries I've seen for interacting. I've seen some other nice ones too, but it's pretty nice. And it's the only one that supports CosmWasm. So we're definitely very happy to have better stuff. And it's not that I'm really build JS apps. I want to encourage an ecosystem of JS apps. I want to make it easy to build, like Web3 makes it easy to build. I want to make it easy to build smart contracts, like Solidity makes it easy to build smart contracts, but I want to run faster and more secure and generally better, right? Yeah, secure and faster mainly, and cleaner APIs. So I really want to bring that in there. That's one of my driving factors since I started on this like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So yeah, it's about ease of use. And anyway, about a month or two ago, I think many people on this call were at some gathering that Billy from ICF called, and it was talking about protobuf IBC support and coming together in JavaScript front-end libraries, and they opened a Discord group talking about front-end libraries and how we can share them and come up with some common code somehow. Nothing really happened from that, but the idea was there. So there was some follow-up discussion, nothing concrete. So we talked to him again about this. We recently got a IBC grant to build IBC out, which includes support for a lot of JavaScript support for IBC, as well as light client proofs and other things, which we think is needed to build this out. And then he talked with us to bring it one step further and not just build something that's really cool for a standalone library, but a library that we can integrate in other projects as well. So make as much code as possible reusable. So not just we build something that works for Cosm, a standalone app or two, and CosmWasm JS that people can use, but really so other projects can all reuse the same code. And it's a low-level library. We're not talking about going for apps. We're not an app factory. We're not going for people's explorers. We're not going after your wallets, and we're not going after your Chrome extensions. We want to build a low-level libraries and see 20 Chrome extensions and 20 wallets and 20 explorers all using this. And 500 D apps, they're all custom to, CosmWasm contracts for your custom contracts coming out. They're making use of this library as well, and also making use of all the wallets and extensions they can connect to. So interoperability is a big thing. So basically, we talk to them. The idea is to focus on the hard stuff, crypto, then coding format, signing, WebSocket, reconnect, subscriptions, testing. I think one of our big emphasis at IOV Core with Simon was testing. We would pull up full integration tests. We'd pull up a node and run a whole series of tests against a real live blockchain, which ran locally as part of every JS test. We have internal tests, local unit tests, and have full integration tests run on every commit in our PRs. So yeah, we kind of ensured that, which found a lot of interesting things because, Tendermint RPC slowly changed between versions and some things were not as documented, and we'd find little issues there, which is very useful. So we want to focus on that and have really solid code that everyone can build on. So we're not talking about the product stuff. We're not talking about the high-level APIs you expose to users necessarily, and not the GraphQL APIs a lot of people are building out there, which are really cool. But basically, a very simple JavaScript API they'll call into Tendermint RPC, the REST server, ideally Tendermint RPC, and get all the information it can. So, query account, and it'll give you the account structure in JSON. It doesn't care that Ash actually has to make a funny ABCI query structure, parse out some protobuf struct of an encoded account into JSON object, validate the headers on it, and do all this stuff under the hood. Is just done for you. And the signing of 3 levels of protobuf is done for you, and you don't worry about it. You have a very high-level JS API that does that for you. And then you can build your product API on top of that one. So that is the goal for this. The ICF is very happy with that. We have Chain Apsis and IOV are also on board. And we're talking to a few other projects to focus on this. Our current goal now is to focus on signing, which is going to, and only targeting 039, not hub, nothing current, starting at 039 and signing. So we have our crypto libraries and coding libraries and signing libraries for 039. That is very, very important to get very right and very hard to do, and is not a product differentiator for anyone. I think we all just want to sign transactions, and that's not anyone's business. So we're happy that people have ideas on how to improve that, and people want to participate, and people want to integrate into their code. So we're happy to offer a very nice library in that. If you guys are building JavaScript apps on top of Cosmos, please get in touch with us. We're happy to see how we can collaborate. We want to provide tooling that supports everyone, basically. and focus on the hard stuff and make sure that works well for everyone. So yeah, thank you for everyone that has talked to us so far. And yeah, please get in touch if you want to do more on this. Okay. Besides that project is kind of an aside from ours, but we think is essential because, well, yeah, we want to make Web3 usability for our smart contracts and everyone else in the Cosmos ecosystem. 1.0. Yeah, so that's another very important thing, which is more projects are signing up to us. I think now we have 5 plus the Cosmos Hub, which is not committed to us, but 5 that say they're actually running on testnets currently and plan to have it in mainnet. Enigma, Cyber Congress, Terra, Regen, and OK Exchange, now OK Chain, are all working this. And they have most of them put it into testnets already. And yeah, so the question then comes, so when can we launch a mainnet with this code? Which is a very good question. So it's cool to see the port. We were kind of waiting to make a roadmap to see the needs of people. So our goal is to make some basically stability. So we want to make a 1.0 release. A 1.0 release means we have a whole 1x series which is backwards compatible. It means if you compile a contract that runs in a 1.0 chain, you can send that to a 1.3 chain and it'll work flawlessly, the same binary. And the same WASM code will run on a 1.7 chain. It also means that between a 1.0 and a 1.7 chain, if nothing else, the code should be the same, and ideally it should be drop and replaceable, ideally. But if not, you should use an upgrade that you'll be able to do like the standard, the new upgrade module from Regen. You don't have to dump chain and restart, just do an upgrade. And you'll switch binaries out so that, if your binary switches from 1.0 to 1.3, that's great. So as long as all nodes are running the same version, it's fine. And you don't need a migration of your data. So that's our goal for 1x release series, which is audited and stable and provides backwards compatibility guarantees. And eventually, if we hit the limits of it, we can make it 2x. But a 1x series should basically be non-breaking changes, which we can gently upgrade into. Meaning that maybe a 1.5 contract won't run a 1.0, but 1.0 will run a 1.5. Yeah, so that's our goal, and we want to provide that for everyone. I think it's a really important goal. So our roadmap is basically Q3 to finish implementing the Cosmos Hub proposal, which is governance and migrations, I discussed before. And also in Q3, we're working on gas metering, which I mentioned as well, memory meeting, Alpine Linux support. This came up for a few people. Right now, we only support glibc Linux and OS X due to Rust compiling and flags and stuff like that, which I spent a day or 2 on, or 3, and just got frustrated with fighting with compilers. But yeah, anyway, we support CentOS 7 and newer, and anything newer, which is old glibc. But we don't support Alpine Linux, which is Mussel C, which needs another compilation step. So we'll make sure we at least support that. The reason why is that most people use Alpine Linux in their Docker images. And so most people use Docker images. A lot of people use Docker images for deployments. So if you compile WASMD, you can deploy any Debian Ubuntu CentOS system, no problem, or in a Docker image, but you can't put an Alpine Docker. So one of our goals to make it production ready is support Alpine Linux. So it's, yeah, if anyone has a lot of work in Rust cross compilation and libc stuff, you're welcome to jump on an issue there. Some issues in Go CosmWasm. Otherwise, I'll get around to it eventually, or someone will, and we'll make it work. Once we finish all this stuff, this is hardening basically. Also in Q3 and Q4, we will hopefully complete the IBC integration. Well, I think our grant and roadmap internally is Q4. So we'll have probably something done Q3, but Q4 it should be done. And like a first version Q3 and a final version Q4 for IBC integration, meaning you have, you can send IBC packets between contracts and bank and contracts, and have some demo contracts using it and various test harness on it and all the tooling you expect. And also in between Q3 and Q4, we'll finalize encoding. We have to decide if they stick with JSON, in which case we want to have basically a much more robust library, a JSON library, or they go to something more binary like protobuf, or some other encoding for the messages. And also at least to demo assembly script compatibility. We're going to make sure that our interface between the Rust runtime and the WASM contracts supports assembly script. So Simon did some amazing work on that in January and got it, I think pushed the, show they can call into it and get out of it and allow the memory passing. We changed the interfaces some. We just have to make sure that we can do it and have like a basic, hello world assembly script contract working to know that we have an API we can freeze, and we won't necessarily have API assembly script support, but we want to make sure that that support is possible in a 1X series without breaking anything. So we'll definitely make sure that we have this kind of, cross-language WASM compatibility in there by Q4. And then Q4, sometime Q4, we're going to have audit-ready software. So when you finish all those points above, we'll freeze it. We'll call audit ready. We'll get an audit on it. We're trying to figure out who can pay for this audit and, talk to ICF on that one and stuff and see however we can fund it. Maybe some other partners can help us with that as well. But we want to make an audit on this and have a proper audited 1.0 release that everyone can very, very happily stick in their mainnet. And then we can provide other stuff on it, on top of it. Assembly script or TinyGo support would probably come after that. Because we can then have a mainnet launch and then we can just improve your tooling around it without breaking anything. So that's the whole roadmap to 1.0. In short, in Q3, we'll get the Cosmos Hub proposal. We'll harden some of the ops stuff that's been pending and start IBC integration. Q4, we'll have IBC integration and encoding libraries and finalize all the internal APIs. And by Q4, have an audit for our software. So people then can very stably launch it. You can always launch beforehand. You're welcome to. Once we tag an audit ready release, we should have no breaking changes, and we should have upgrade scripts already from 0.10 or 0.11 should be much more stable once we have that out there. But this is our plan. It's no fixed dates on it. We see how things go, and we see our team grows as well. We have some new hires in the pipeline, so we see how this works out. But yeah, this is our rough goals. And I think we want to stick with this Q4 if possible. We don't say Q4 and then do Q2 2021. I don't like that. Q4 is a pretty hard goal for us, meaning if possible, we'll cut scope on other things, right? Like we'd probably have a less enhanced IBC integrations and probably cut some features off that one, just have a stable working with less features rather than just push it back a quarter or two if we find things that are really too hard to do in the current one. So that's the current plan. So hopefully that gives people a little framing. Great, so that's it. Any questions you have? Thank you for letting me talk so long. And if you have any questions, feel free to speak.
Yeah, so not exactly a question, maybe an interesting point to add is that as part of the changes that we've been introducing recently, we also simplified some of the APIs for smart contracts. For example, some of the access to the database now doesn't return results. You can always succeed, and like some usability improvements, I guess, for contract authors. Something just worth mentioning.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this gas stuff is opening up a lot of stuff. It's good.
Oh, it's not only the gas stuff, also the way we allocate buffers back and forth. You can read the database without failing. So that's also pretty cool.
Yeah, there are a few cases that before were passed to the contract as an error in a result, but now terminate the contract execution immediately. It's type of errors that the contract can never deal with anyway. So it's just makes contract developers' life easier because they don't have to write all that handle code. So it just stops.
Yeah, cool. Thank you guys for that one. I haven't really been working that much. The two of you have been, I think, done a huge job working on CosmWasm, fine-tuning it and making it more robust. So thank you for that stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome. I do have one question. You mentioned the integration guide for CosmWasm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that a bit? Like, I'm just not sure what happens, on those super high levels, to be honest. But can developers not just take the module as is and integrate it to their network? Like, is
Yeah,
there some
they can.
code that they need to add there?
Well, of course you do. So basically, I've seen various people. Some networks will import Cosmos SDK. Some basically copy the SDK modules into their own repo, right? I've seen people copy XWASM into the repo and then start just banging on it, which I said is bad because we're changing XWASM, we're changing our stuff, and we're actually moving at pretty high velocity. So maybe at 1.0 you want to do that, but right now, you're going to lose out on all the upstream changes. So if you want to just import XWASM, you can import it, and the first step is basically importing that. You're just wiring up an app.go. So explain how to wire up an app.go and how to, if you want to copy into a module, how to use that. So basically it's the integration. The more interesting thing is with 0.8, we allow custom callbacks. Callbacks are message types. Well, not callbacks, whatever. We have custom message types, which can return, and custom query types, which are basically an agreement between the final SDK app runtime and the config itself. And in the whole pipeline between them, it just passes opaque bytes. We don't know what they are. No one parsed them. So if the contract says, hey, I know I'm running on Terra, so I encode a Terra-specific custom message, it passes quote-unquote custom message throughout the whole stack. No one knows it is. And then it hits the runtime is parsed as raw bytes. In XWASM parsed as raw bytes. And JSON.raw message. And then you can have custom hooks. You can register hooks in your application. You can import XWASM and then register custom hooks to handle those custom messages. And that's the places. So you can say, oh, okay, we actually now have that. So we support these 3 custom hooks for it. And these are the message types we take and then redispatch those in our SDK. These queries asking the exchange rate query. So we actually can parse your JSON message, find the exchange rate query, and then return your real result for it. So allowing that doesn't require you to fork XWASM or change the code in XWASM at all. You can import XWASM and pass that in the constructor. So you can have basically, I recommend having an XContracts directory in your app, which contains all your customization code, which handles all the custom message types and custom query types. And then how to do that, you make these custom handlers. And app.go, basically you import XWASM, and then you pass the custom handlers and encoders from your contracts into it, and then it runs. So I really want people to run XWASM module out of the box, but be able to customize it as much as possible in their application without having to fork our code base. Because if you start forking our code base, then we have 5, 6, 7 different versions. It happens as decay. It's horrible. People were running on 27, on 31, and 33, and 35, and 37 because they couldn't do stuff. They forked SDK at various points in time and tried to merge it. And then there were various things. I think IrisNet and then Binance also have older versions of SDK that they try to then eventually try to make sure they get back into mainstream, but not really because they have a lot of changes, enhancements themselves. They couldn't make upstream. So anyway, I don't want that to happen. So I want people to be able to customize all they want to do on it externally. They can use XWASM, and if they want to change stuff in the core logic and how it works, put it back in XWASM. If they want to customize something for their own extra features, they can do it very quickly and on their own chain without having our development cycle involved. So I think a lot of that document is explaining how to use customization.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much for the detailed answer. It all makes sense. I guess I have some more input, but we'll talk about that privately later.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Enigma I think needs more customization in other chains because you're not just adding Go code handlers. You actually want to change the whole internals. So yeah.
Yeah, basically, we've basically had a strategy of adding code in a way that minimizes conflicts with upstream. Yeah. And we basically plan to pull in changes as much as we can. Cool. But, like basically putting our code in, just like side by side with your code, so we can have both things together.
Nice. We can talk about more offline. But yeah, I think for at least the Go level, the WASM-D XWASM contract stuff, hopefully you should not have to do it. You could just change maybe a different Go CosmWasm import and change your imports to your custom one. But you should be able to customize at that level. But we can talk about offline.
Yeah, exactly. I
Anything
think
else
we're
that's
adding.
customizing for real, just please feel free to ping me on the CosmWasm Telegram if you're customizing it and adding in your chain. This is, first stuff people are doing it, so I'm definitely happy to help people do it right and do it well, so we have clean interfaces. And if I need to change interfaces, I'll change them. So I really want to get real users with real cases. Always makes code better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said, I'm really curious about the stuff you brought up, and I wonder if we can apply it to our use case.
Cool.
I think we might be able to.
Nice. All right. Are there any other questions here? I'm very curious if anyone is building anything on CosmWasm. What experience do people have, especially if they built a contract on it. If anyone's looked at 0.8, please let me know your impressions if you actually touch the code, kick the tires, so to speak.
Hi, Ethan. This is Git from Persistence.
Hello.
Yeah. So I'm just doing that integration to Cosmos SDK 0.38, and I'll let you know my status and things what I am coming across after doing the integration. So as you said, I'm just doing the integration that implementing in the app.go. It's not just like I'm copying the module to the X library and doing it. So I'll let you know my status, and hopefully if I'm getting some doubts, then I'll catch you up.
Okay, great to know that. So yeah, please follow the integration, the MD on WasmD. That should help you. And if anything is confusing there, please write me in Telegram and or write me in Telegram. And also, if it's something that is needs to be added, make it a GitHub issue, and because it needs to. Once you understand the problem, I can then fix the docs. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Definitely.
I'll get back to you.
Cool. Thank you. I wish you the best in integration.
Thank you.
Okay, and one last thing. So I mentioned basically we're trying to get audit ready and have an audit start in Q4. I hope that works for everyone's roadmaps and stuff. There's no big issues in that. So I don't think we can pull it up any earlier, honestly, unless we say we're not going to build IBC in it. But that would seem ridiculous to have a stable version that's no IBC support, and we wouldn't be able to add it. But I hope that makes sense for people. Any feedback there? Okay, so no one needs to have a Q3 launch without IBC. That's good. Cool. Well, I'll just stop the. Let's see. I'll stop this video recording now.